What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. How's everybody doing today? In today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 things I hate about my 2019 KTM 690 SMC R. So guys, the first thing I hate about the 690 SMC R, and this just can't be denied, is the stock seat. That thing is hard as a rock. Now, if you come over and you push on it, yeah, you get a little mushiness, but overall, the seat is super uncomfortable after anything longer than maybe 30 minutes. If you buy this bike, I highly recommend looking at some aftermarket seats, particularly Seat Concepts. Those guys make some awesome stuff. I have one of those on my DRZ400 Supermoto, and the seat's absolutely amazing. So definitely recommend looking at getting a different seat alternative, as this one will rattle your parts to destruction. So definitely look at getting a different seat. The second thing, and this is going to be a little bit maybe critical on my part, and you guys may absolutely love this, but this is just personally for me on a Supermoto, are the rider aids. This bike has traction control and ABS, maps that you can change on the fly, and all these other lean angle sensors and stuff like that. And while those are nice to have, especially if you're riding this on a track, on a Supermoto, personally, I love the raw feel of it, and having to go in and turn off all those rider aids on every single ride just isn't super fun. Personally, for me, I actually like less rider aids. I like a more raw experience. But if you're the type of person that likes all those features, then this may be one of those bikes you want to look at, because it definitely supplies a lot of those things you might be looking for from a safety perspective. The third thing that I hate about this bike, and it's not really about this bike in particular, it's more about KTM in general, is parts availability. If you guys watch Yami Noob, you'll know that Spite on that channel has had a hell of a time getting replacement parts for his particular bike. They're months out. Same exact story with this one. I ordered a body clip for one of the little panels on the other side. I ordered grips, and I ordered a couple little things, and they took like a month and a half to get here. So yeah, the parts availability just isn't great. So something that you may want to consider when getting this bike is that, you know, those parts that may fail generally, you may want to have a backup of them just kind of on hand, like body clips and, you know, easy things like that. But parts availability for KTM, unfortunately right now in today's climate, this is filmed in 2022, is just not great. And really, it's not just KTM, it's a lot of manufacturers right now with parts and availability issues that are importing from overseas. So you can't really totally fault KTM. It's really all manufacturers that are import manufacturers, but you know, it is what it is. It kind of sucks right now, so it's just one of those things. The fourth thing that I hate about this bike is the vibration. And that's just to be said about any single cylinder engine called thumper engines. These engines just vibrate like crazy. There's really no way to get around that. So anybody who's ridden a single cylinder motorcycle knows the vibration. And as you're riding, this bike does a pretty good job of dampening some of those vibrations with the bars and the setup they have there. But, you know, if you're going at speed, you're going to get a little bit of that vibration in your hands. And if you're sensitive to those type of things, then that's just something to consider, is that over time, you know, your hands may get a little numb as you're riding and things like that. Unfortunately, I'm sensitive to vibrations, so after a little bit, you know, I gotta drop my hand off and kind of shake it a little bit, just because these bikes vibrate like crazy. And it's not just the KTM 690 SMC R, it's actually my DRZ as well. It's any single cylinder motorcycle. The next thing I want to talk about is the dash and electronics. They did do an upgrade, I believe it was in 2020, but for the most part, this is it. You got 2 buttons right here, and you get your basic layout. You get a clock, your distance, your miles an hour, no fuel gauge, no RPM gauge, no gear indicator. You know, those are just things you have to be cognizant of as you're riding, but, you know, Supermotos aren't meant for all of the dash technology. Although I will say the Aprilia Deucidoro and the Hyper Motard and a lot of those higher end Supermotos have a much cleaner dash. I'll drop a couple pictures of those here, and it's just nice to have some of those basics right there, right in front of you. You don't have to have them, which is why this bike doesn't, but it's a nicety, and I wish KTM put that on their stock. I'll also put the upgraded one that they put on there. I think it was in 2020 right here on the screen. So you can see there's a little bit more, but again, not too much. So technology-wise, from a dash perspective, it's meh. And if you watch the 5 Things I Love video, here's a bonus for you. The quick shifter was one of the bonus features that I absolutely loved about this bike. Ironically, it's also one of the things that I hate. Hear me out, guys. So while the quick shifter is amazing to have, it's super fun and convenient, on this particular bike, it does miss shifts and go false neutral quite a bit. So I'm not really sure why. There's a lot of research done on this particular bike as to why that's the case, that the quick shifter goes into false neutrals, but it just does it quite a bit. And so just something to consider as you test ride this bike, you know, kick it through all the gears with the quick shifter and see if it feels good to you. You know, you really have to kick it into gear with some authority to make sure you're not missing those shifts, but it is a nice to have. Just I wish it was a little bit more flushed out and a little bit cleaner and easier, and not hitting those false neutrals as often. So anyway, guys, the 690 SMC R is an amazing machine. I absolutely recommend it. It took a long time for me to come up with some of the things that I really didn't like about this bike, because overall it was very, very clean, very fun. Really liked the look of it. I think they did an amazing job with this bike. So again, it's an amazing bike. Would I recommend getting one? Absolutely. Definitely something to consider if you're looking for a higher end Supermoto. So definitely check this one out. So anyway, guys, if you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell to get notified when more videos come out. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next video. Later.